Hmm? Ah!
You're listening to the Run for Your Lives podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And this is the Run for Your Lives podcast.
This episode, we've made it to the end of the season, and it is the 6th season look back special. And for those who've been listening for a while, you know what that means. We get to go back and talk about our favorite movies, episodes, characters, monsters, threats, whatever they are, from this past season, the past 25 or so episodes. And if you remember last season, season 5, we kind of changed the format a little bit. We're doing more of an Oscar style where our top 5 picks each kind of become the nominees. And then we have to, in real time, not knowing what each other picked beforehand, come to an agreement on which one actually gets the award for the season.
Yes. One of our friends has been calling it the Riffles.
I like
which
it.
I think I like as well. Do you want to tell folks what makes this episode extra special?
Yeah, if you can tell, I don't know how this sounds. If the audio maybe sounds a little different than it usually does, for those who are like super in tune with that maybe, I don't know. We are both recording on the same microphone because we are together, in person, for the first time ever. Run for Your Lives. Live, but not really. It's still pre-recorded. But we're not doing it over Zoom from opposite ends of the country. We are in this same room, recording a podcast together. It's so cool. I'm excited.
It is so cool. It took us like 6 seasons to get to this point where everything just all lined up. And it's not a movie. It's a special season-ending episode. What better time to get to do this in person? So we're both really excited. Neither of us, as usual, knows what's on each other's lists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we get to, since we're in the room, not just in the room together, literally sitting right next to each other, we have to, like, hide our lists from each other on our notes, on our phones, all cryptically and secretly, so that'll be fun.
I know, I love it, though. I think this is just going to be so much fun. I've been looking forward to it. There was an opportunity once for us to do feedback in person, but never a full episode.
Right, which is just, that would be hard to do, like a regular movie episode, because, like, watching and prepping and all that, like, it's almost impossible if I think about it with all traveling and trying to deal with stuff. But it worked out really well, because we were like, well, it's just a look back, so we literally can just make our lists in advance and then just talk about it. So
I know.
What better one to do this way?
So excited to get to do this. Do you want to let folks know about our future episode that may be coming out at some point?
Oh, yeah, because I mentioned we've switched the format a little bit to this kind of Oscar-style awards where there's a direct winner for each category. But if you remember, those who've listened, those first 4 seasons were just our, like, top 5s of each category. And so I think some point over next season, we're just going to find an episode to do something a little fun, because then we have our riffle, as she said, awards like Hall of Fame. But we got to know what characters, what movies, what monsters would fit or would win for each season previously. So I think we're going to take some time. I'll go back and listen to our previous look back specials and get those nominee lists, and we'll retroactively decide the winners for each of those seasons too in an upcoming episode, because I think that'd be fun. That way we have an official, like, award winners, like Hall of Fame for this show.
I know, I love it. It's going to be great. We've already, too, started planning out season 7. We have films already picked out. You're actually going to get the first episode of season 7 really early, because we're going to do our Halloween special, and then we're taking a break. But we've kind of already shared that, and you guys that have been listening for a while know that's kind of how we operate. Yeah. We do take a break. Just to, reboot our brains, really, just to give us a chance to miss the podcast, and then we can come back super energized to keep going.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. And I think we've already talked about what the Halloween special this year.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll be on a break. It was like, we can't not release something on Halloween.
No.
And we're done with the Halloween movies. Thank
God.
So, yeah, I think we've already mentioned, because we just did Pet Sematary, both versions. So the new prequel, The Bloodlines, just came out on streaming like a week or two ago. So why not do that? Just stick with the Pet Sematary. And you know, maybe then Daphne will see... Maybe this movie will reveal the truth that I've known all along about Mr. Judd Crandall. I don't know. We'll see.
He really hasn't gotten off that pedestal about that. So the difference is he's here in person, so I can smack him upside the head if I get tired of hearing it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really excited to get to do this one. So last time we started with supporting character. Are you okay with starting with that category again?
Yeah, totally. I'm good with that.
Okay. So I'm going to let you go first for this one.
Do you want me just to do... I've already forgotten how we did it last season, so I don't remember at all. Am I just going to like give all 5 of mine, and then you give all 5 of yours, or are we...
I think we gave one at a time.
Okay, yeah. Mine are not in any
mine either
specific order, because it's literally like, 1 through 5 is literally just, really they're in the order that we did the movies, because they're nominees now, not like a top 5, so
right.
I just picked the top 5 in whatever order.
Okay.
Alright, so I'll do them in order that we covered movies. That'll be my order of doing them. So my first one is the character of Ed from Shaun of the Dead. Nick Frost's character, the ultimate sidekick in the apocalypse.
You know what? That's hilarious, because I also picked Ed.
Nice, of course. And I do remember last season, if there are any overlaps, those kind of are the front runners. Those are the ones that we will really ultimately pick from.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
He already definitely has a leg up for sure.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. Okay, who's next?
All right, this one's a duo, because they do not... You can't pick just one or the other. They always go together like Pop-Tarts and toasters. It's Tucker and Specs from the Insidious series. We did 1 and 2.
Oh my goodness. I can't believe that I didn't think of putting them on my list. They were so fun. Ugh. And we went to see The Red Door together this year. And it was just great to see them back together.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe I didn't do that. My next one, I went in a little different direction with my list this time, in some ways. Owen Atlas, who played Lucas in Little Evil.
Okay, yeah.
I just thought he was great. He wasn't a main character, yet I felt like he was kind of a main character, but I put him on my list of supporting, because I think a lot centered around Adam Scott's character and the story.
For sure. Nice one, like that. All right, this one might be on your list too. And I do consider him supporting, even though he does play a huge pivotal role in the movie. But we're going to go to Battle Royale, and I'm going to pick Shogo Kawada.
Yeah! Yes, me too!
Nice.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Taro Yamamoto, who played Shogo Kawada. He was one that wasn't a question for me. I knew I was going to put him on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He really is. He's done a lot of cool things after playing that role, but he was really a great supporting character in the movie. So I feel like now we have 2 that are firmly in the could be one of these 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so that counts as one of yours too. So they go back to mine. And then you'll start the next one, so that way if there's overlaps, I get to be skipped.
Yep.
All right. Love, love, love comic relief. And I gave so much love to this character when we covered the movie on our first ever 4-way podcast with Gorgos. So from the Meg and the Meg 2, DJ.
I did not think of putting him on my list. I should have, but I love doing that 4-way episode. Mm-hmm. That was so much fun. And it didn't take as much work, like on the back end, to line up and put everything together to release the episode. So I think we need to do more of those in the future. Yeah. In fact, I can think of 2 people that we should bring on.
I think I know exactly what you're thinking. We've talked to them about doing something that I don't think we're going to do anymore, but we still should bring them on.
I think together, the four of us, for some reason, are like gold when it comes to just having fun. Are
you sure you want to put up with the three of us?
I put up with you every Tuesday night, don't I? Okay, my next one is very creepy, but going in this...
Creepy for a side character. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Ellie Creed. Shetay Lawrence.
Okay.
Yep. She was phenomenal in that role. I know we both appreciated what she did. Yeah, I had to go with her.
Nice. That's a good choice. All right, so my final nominee for side character, fresh off of literally last week's episode, and I even said she's one of my favorite characters probably of this whole, like definitely maybe the favorite character of that movie, from Tremors, Shrieker Island, Freddy.
Okay, yes, I get that.
Yes.
I totally get that.
Very much so.
Okay. Yeah, she was badass in all the right ways. She really was the yin to his yang.
Yeah.
Really.
Jackie Cruz is so much fun, and I want to see her in more things. So.
Yeah. Casting directors, if you're listening to this podcast, do that, please.
Mm-hmm. She's great at being like such a tough badass, but she's also really funny. So you hadn't watched Orange is the New Black, I guess, because you said you hadn't recognized her from anything.
No.
If you ever go back and watch that, yeah, she's incredible.
Oh, okay. Okay, so my last one, it was really hard for me to come down to a consensus on this because there were a couple that I was looking at and then thought about it some more and ended up with a sidekick who didn't spend a lot of time living in the movie, but came back a few times to kind of give advice. And that was Griffin Dunn from An American Werewolf in London.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's good, right?
Yeah. It's a good one. All right. But if we base off of our overlap rule, which we don't have to stick with it because we do whatever we want.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good, so we have Kawada or Ed is really...
Yes. And I can't remember, did we do this one at a time or did we come back and do them at the end?
I don't remember.
I don't remember, so...
I think we decided within that moment, but I'm not 100% sure. Just that way we can finalize it and then move on, but yeah. So it's a tough one.
That is a tough one because two very different movies. Mm-hmm. One with a comedic feel, one with a very serious and bloody, gross, terrible. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Are you leaning one way or the other?
I think I am. And it might surprise you which way I'm leaning.
Okay.
Because as much as I love Nick Frost and I love the comedy aspect of things, I think I'm leaning more towards Kawada, honestly.
You know what? I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm down with that. Because you know that I love Nick Frost as well. Mm-hmm. But Kawada, there was just something about him in this movie. I mean...
they definitely would have never survived if it wasn't for him.
No, definitely not. Okay. Then Shogo Kawada is our Riffle supporting character.
Season 6.
Season 6. All right. So next we move to main character. And this one, I had a few issues. It was a bit rough. But I did finally narrow it down. Have a feeling we're going to maybe have some similarities on this.
Possibly.
I'm not sure. I'll go first this time. I am going to start off with Chief Brody from Jaws 2.
Nice. Good choice.
We had fun on that episode with Rima, and Chief Brody is just...
Yeah.
He's an icon.
He was on my, short list that was longer than these final 5 because I made a list of 10 for each and then like whittled it down from there and like had to cut half of them. So Chief Brody was on my list of 10, did not make it to my 5.
Oh, but that's okay. He made it to mine.
Yeah. And I'm doing the same thing where I'm doing them in the order we covered these movies. So
okay. I
started with Ed for supporting because Shaun of the Dead was the first movie we did of the season. So I'm starting in the same place with little known fact, I think, of his actual last name, but the character of Sean Riley from Shaun of the Dead, Simon Pegg's character there.
I know this isn't a surprise to you, but he's also on my list.
Yeah.
So that's not a surprise. Okay. So that's from my list. Is it back to me?
Well, if Sean is one of yours.
Yeah, then it's back to you.
Then it goes back to mine. See, you started so that this wouldn't happen, and then it happened anyway. So
of course it did.
That's how it goes. All right, the next one was a character that this was the first time I'd ever seen this movie. And if you remember, I was very convinced at first that this was going to be like, oh, definitely the bad character of the movie, and then became the absolute top-tier hero of the movie. Talking about the character of Brian Flagg from The Blob.
Oh my gosh. That was the first time we recorded with Zoran.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. I did not put him on my list, but I totally get behind him as a top character for the season. That is for sure. My next one is, well, he could have been a threat, I guess, or part of the threat. But, and as much as I couldn't stand him at times, I went with Sebastian from Bird Box Barcelona.
Interesting. Because my next pick is Sebastian as well. Yes. High fives. We can do that. Because, it's the same thing. It's like he could be the threat, could be the villain of the movie. But he has this redemption arc. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I had to include him in my top 5. Because it's such a unique take on the, hero of a movie, you know?
I think a lot of people, too, they didn't necessarily like the movie. It's very split. Yeah. Some people really liked it, some people really didn't like it. I liked it, especially on second watch, when I started to understand and watch it knowing everything that I knew. It really helped me come to the side of, okay, this is a guy, just looking at Sebastian, where it all came from.
Yeah.
It really helped. Plus talking about it. It always helps when we talk about it.
For sure.
So now it's back to me again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So my next one is from 28 Days Later.
Okay.
Cillian Murphy's character.
Jim.
Jim. Had to include it. I think it was a great episode for us, and I liked his character in that movie.
Yeah,
it was really like a first glimpse of what he could do.
Yeah.
And he's gone on to do so many
Definitely
great
lots
things.
of different glimpses of Cillian Murphy.
Yes, more views of Cillian Murphy than I ever thought I would ever get in a film. He's gone on to do so many great movies after this one, but Jim will always hold a special place. And this movie introduced a different view of, and I know there's so many million fucking debates over, what are they? Well, the infected or zombies, to me, it introduced us to something different with them. Yeah. And that was the fast-paced, maniacal view. And I liked that. I appreciated it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Again, Jim is one of the ones that made my, list of 10, but not quite 5. Because we did have some really great and interesting, unique characters this season. So
we did.
There's a lot to pick from. My next, maybe the world's greatest news broadcast journalist we've ever known. She decides to be the face of the end of the world, even if it's a really bad idea. Téa Leoni's Jenny Lerner from Deep Impact.
Okay, guess what? So on this one, we have 3, basically, because
nice. Yep.
I'm just saying, Téa Leoni, you can't not count her. And when you get that soundboard figured out, we're going to have such a great time with it. Téa Leoni, for sure, is on my list. She rounds it out. So that gives us Simon Pegg, Sean Riley, Jenny Lerner, and Sebastian as having the crossovers.
Yeah. And then that's the end of your list. I do have one more.
You do.
But, I mean, I know it's not on your list, but I mean, it's not going to be a season without me involving Burt Gummer. I mean,
know.
Especially, hopefully those who are listening to this, there will be spoilers. I try to avoid spoilers a little bit with these because we're covering everything. But I guess, either way, it's the end of the Trimmer series as far as we know.
At this point, yeah.
I mean, it's like, it was his last hurrah. The final Burt Gummer film that we have, at least so far. So I had to include him. He gets a send-off, even if it's just a nomination. He's got to get it.
Well, and since we're going back to redo all of the other seasons, I know that even if he wasn't on both of our lists this time, he could be for some of the other seasons, because like Tremors is iconic.
Oh yeah,
I can see a lead and a side character from that one easily. That actually is going to be complicated, because if you look at Tremors, and here's a side tangent, there's an ensemble of side characters or main characters that I think it's going to be difficult to break that one down.
He's eligible for both categories in the first season, because we started with the first Tremors where he's a side character, and we ended that season with Aftershocks where he's the main character.
Yeah.
So, well, no, because I would still say Earl is definitely the main character in Aftershocks. So, maybe Burt Gummer is really just side for the first season, but then
that might bode well for him, but I also think that Reba McEntire in that role also. And we had so many great movies. Like we did The Ritual, we did The Host, we did Black Sheep.
Yeah. It's gonna be some
Jaws. Like, there's so much. I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm glad that you came up with the idea for us to do it.
Yeah, it'll be fun to look back on those. Look back. That's what these are.
Yeah,
but for here, we have 3 overlaps. So for main character, whether it's Sean, Sebastian, or Jenny Lerner.
Yeah, I don't know what we do. I mean, what do we do in that?
That is tough. I mean, it's just we have to... So you asked me last one, so I'm going to ask you to start with if there's any specific lean that you have.
This might surprise you. As much as I appreciate the other 2 so much, I'm kind of leaning towards Sebastian from Bird Box Barcelona.
Interesting. The funny thing is I'm very tempted to give it to him as well, just on like the shock factor of like, this came out of left field, nobody even knows this movie existed, and it's such a unique take on main character.
Yeah.
That it's not even just the character himself, but it is the movie and the writing of the existence of that main character within the movie. That, I'll go along with that. I think I will.
All right. I'm glad. Okay, 2 for 2.
Yeah.
That's good. It's really weird, though, that these are not like the mainstream, like going with Kawada and now with Sebastian. Those aren't the mainstream.
Yeah.
They're really not.
But I think here with Run for Your Lives, I think we've always really enjoyed and appreciated the unique and kind of different characters over like your mainstream heroes anyway. I think
always.
I mean, come on, think to previous seasons. I mean, like Pest is our boy.
Pest and will always be our boy.
I love me some Terry from The Gate, or even like going to Regan from the Quiet Place movies, and
I know
it's just like we always like those just kind of those outcasts or unique individuals that really have something new to bring to things.
Yeah. Maybe it reminds us of us. I think
maybe.
It could. Okay, so we are moving on to threat.
All right.
This could get interesting.
This one absolutely should, and I think I start this one.
You do.
All right. I'm starting strong on this one.
Okay.
I mean, like, I could just come barreling in full speed, or I could tiptoe through the tulips. I don't know. The lipstick face demon from Insidious. I mean,
also on my list.
Yeah.
That is I mean, I know we talked about it during the episode, but that is something that scared the hell out of me and still does.
It's so good. Just terrifying in a lot of, again, with a unique way, because it's just how, like, I mean, Insidious. He is, yeah, but like just kind of just hides in corners and appears, but then also, so he's like that ghost in the shadows, but then also has these very flamboyant, dramatic moments as well, and it's great.
I'll never hear Tiptoe Through the Tulips again, and think, it's always going to have a creep factor to me.
Yeah. All right, so that's also on your list. Back to me.
Back to you.
So let's do the antithesis of another pick that we made earlier, a winner from earlier. Because if we're going to have a Shogo Kawada, then we got to balance him out with the insanity that is a Kazuo Kiriyama.
So, should I share that? I actually picked a duo and paired him with Mitsuko Soma.
Okay.
So I have Kazuo Kiriyama and Mitsuko Soma as a tandem killing force in Battle Royale, because they were not together, but separately. The both of them took out a lot of people. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I've kind of paired them together, but yes, I'm on that with you.
Cool. All right, so I'm just running again. Tying back to previous winner. Although not necessarily the opposite of the winner, but working side by side with our winner, even when he didn't want to. The creatures from Bird Box Barcelona.
Ooh.
Whatever these entities or creatures are from Bird Box. Even with 2 movies now, we still have seen nothing of them or know nothing. And I like it that way. But they are definitely scary.
Oh, yeah. And I want to see, after giving it more thought, I'd really like to see another film done in a different area with a different twist. Yeah. Because I feel like there are more options out there for what they can do with this. Mm-hmm. So I'm down with that. Not on my list, but I'm down with it. So my next one is interesting. It's the NFFA from the first Purge.
Okay, yeah.
As I know what happens with them throughout the rest of the series, it was not difficult for me to pick them, to put them on this list. Because at the beginning, you're already seeing the signs of what they do by pitting communities against each other, and then having these, demolition of people squads out there running around. So I had to. It's kind of a government thing. And what's interesting is, for Battle Royale, I almost went with the government. Uh-huh. Yeah. But I didn't. So the NFFA, which is, of course, this political party. Yeah. In the first Purge.
All right. My next pick we've already seen before, because you picked her for a side character, but I picked her for a threat, and that is the character of Ellie Creed from the 2019 Pet Cemetery.
Okay. So I picked something that's tied to that. I picked the Wendigo from Pet Cemetery.
Right, yeah. Which is kind of the same thing.
They're kind of the same thing.
It's possessing her in those scenes that I would consider her the threat, yeah.
Definitely, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So then my last one, because they look very different and very cool, going back to my deep love of Tremors, and I'm going to give these Dark Island Shriekers a little bit of love and a nomination here.
Okay.
This kind of jungle, skeletal kind of look on these Shriekers. I really dig that design choice.
That is a really good idea. I think I didn't put them on my top 5 list, but they definitely were under consideration. Mm-hmm. I went with the Infected from 28 Days Later.
Nice. Because
they were just gruesome. So that brings us to a couple of tie-ins, basically. Okay, we both said the lipstick face demon. We both had something from Pet Sematary that kind of ties together with Ellie and the Wendigo.
Yeah.
And we
both included Kiriyama. You kind of bunched him with another.
With Mutsuko, because she was brutal.
Yeah.
I didn't want people to think, there are creepy female... And she was psychotic. She had every reason to be psychotic, but she was still psychotic.
Yeah.
So, I ask you, in what way are you leaning?
Man. Let's see. So Shawada already won, so I'm honestly okay with kind of letting that be the Battle Royale win for now and setting Kiriyama to the side.
Okay.
Great as he was. But it is really hard for me to kind of, between Lipstick Demon or this Wendigo-possessed Ellie. But I think if I'm going to make a lane, it's going to be my love of Insidious and the Lipstick Face Demon myself.
I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I think I'm okay with that. I like that we do have, similarities on our list, but I also really appreciate the differences that we have as well. So, we have made it to movie.
All right. And again, the difference, because we will do movie and episode. So with movie is literally just not even really even taking consideration of our conversations or guests or anything. Just movies. And which movies do we like the most out of the ones we've covered? And then on episode, which we'll do last, then it will be not necessarily how good or bad or whatever the movie is, but the episode, the conversation we had, the guests we had, the bits I did and took you by surprise, maybe. I don't know.
Well, let me tell you that for movie and episode, none of the films appear on both lists.
Interesting. Let's see if any of them do on mine. No, I don't think there's any overlap either.
No,
on mine. So
there was something specific about the episodes we did and conversations we had. So for movie, this was really difficult. I think it's my turn, so I'm going to go.
All right.
For movie, it was very difficult for me because there were some really fun movies that we covered. But in the end, these 5 were the ones that stood out the most. My first one is going to be 28 Days Later.
All right. It's a good choice. And obviously, as a big fan of those kind of movies that some people will probably yell and scream and argue with me, this is not one of those kind of movies. But yeah, so no, 28 Days is 100% on my list as well.
Awesome. Yes. I knew it would be.
Yeah.
The next one I know is going to be on your list as well. Insidious.
Yes, absolutely. So you tell us what our top 5 are.
It's kind of funny though, because I don't know if you'll have all of them. If it's all 5, we're in trouble. It's going to be really
It doesn't
difficult.
help us narrow anything down.
No, not at all. Okay, so the next one on my list, Shaun of the Dead.
Okay, so 3 for 3.
The interesting thing, though, about this is because of the way we used to do things, we would meet ahead of time and kind of change. By not doing it, it's really, for me, just showing how much we enjoyed. Yeah. Like, that they're so similar. Okay, all right, I'm going to go for 4. Battle Royale.
Okay, that's where we do deviate.
Okay.
It was in my, long list, whatever, the 10 it was, but did not make the 5, but it is a great movie.
Okay.
So I get to say one. But yeah, no, Battle Royale is a great choice. So mine, honestly, this might, I'm not going to say surprise people because they listen to the episode. They know how much I keep forgetting how much I love this movie. But it might be an opinion that not everybody shares. They think that the series kind of doesn't hold up after the first one. But honestly, just as much as the first, I love Insidious 2. I love Insidious Chapter 2 as well. So I have both Insidious 1 and 2 on my top 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So my last one is I couldn't get through without including Jaws 2.
Nice.
I had fun, of course, with Rima. And even though the movie is not connected to the episode, I really enjoyed Jaws 2, and I'm glad that we got a chance to cover it. The rest of the Jaws, I'm not sure, but if we do any further in the series, we're going to get Rima back to talk about it with us. It's just how it is.
She is like the official Jaws co-host.
She is.
Whether she knows it or not or wants it, that's what she is. And then my last one, I mean, Shaun of the Dead's already on here, but you know my sweet spot with horror comedy, how much I love the horror comedy. So I brought this movie to you. First time you ever watched it. Little Evil.
Oh my gosh. It was so much fun though.
Yeah.
Like it was not what I was expecting. And being in the middle, which I'm still in the middle of my Parks and Rec watch, really helped me like appreciate Adam Scott even more. Yeah. I've seen him in, Parks and Rec, also Severance, which is a great show. And seeing him in this role, it just showed, the range that he really has. So, yeah. Oh my God. Okay, so we have 3, Pake.
Man.
We have 3.
It's really... How do you pick Shaun of the Dead, Insidious, and 28 Days Later? How do you decide which is the best movie out of
I don't know.
So tough. Again, I think it's back in your court for the Where Are You Leaning? You started this one, so I'll let you pitch the lean if you have it.
Okay. In looking at the list and those 3 movies,
it's the toughest one so far.
It
really is
really tough because all 3 bring something different.
Yeah.
One is dark and sinister. The other one is happy-go-lucky friends run away from zombies. And the third one is a life and death struggle against the human element as well as the zombies.
Yeah.
And I think saying that just made me solidify. I think I'm going to go with 28 Days Later. Because I think it did give us not only the infected, but the human element. It really helped introduce some of that like fear and terror that comes with that. And so that's kind of where I'm leaning.
All right. And we've all been we've been quick to just I'll go with that. This one's harder for me to do that just because, again, it's Shaun of the Dead and Insidious also on the block. So it's
it's very hard.
Man. So I see what you're saying and appreciate what you're saying on that one. But also it's ooh, but is that enough to make me agree completely and just go with that? I don't know. This might be an instance where we might circle back and see if we might have to make a deal, because if we find out if we end up in this same situation with episode, then we might have to cut a deal with each other. Okay, well, you get this one and if I get that one.
Okay, we've done that before. We have done that
before.
So
I think we might circle back around on this one just in case. I want to give you 28 Days Later 100% in, trade for an episode winner. So we will circle back.
Okay. Well, we're back to your turn on favorite episode. And what I'm really interested in is if we're going to overlap on this one. Because there were specific things that happened during the season on some of the episodes that I feel like some of the non-movie related tangents or the non-movie specific tangents stand out to me. And yeah.
Yeah, so this is the interesting one because episodes where we did something a little different that's not covering a movie definitely get the highlight here. And so my first pick is technically where this season started, even before Shaun of the Dead, if we're being real, is the Tremors Fest special episode, having Levi on and discussing the incredible fun that was Tremors Fest in Santa Fe earlier this year, where me and Levi and even Zoran from Dead Meat was there, and we all met up and had a great weekend. I talked about it a lot with the Shrieker Island episode we just did, because as a huge Tremors fan and nerd, just to spend a whole weekend watching all the movies with a lot of the core cast and like all of the writers and directors and creators of those movies, it was a religious experience for me. And then to get to nerd out and talk about it was so cool.
Yeah, that is on my list.
Mhm.
I really loved getting to watch you and Levi just go into a zone. It was so much fun to witness it and to be part of it and talk about it. I loved it. That's why it's on my list.
Nice.
It's one of my favorite episodes.
It was a lot of fun. All right, so then the next one, probably not a movie that I ever would have, I definitely didn't really include it anywhere near the running of like favorite movie, because it is very out there. But because it was so unique, I think it really led itself to one of the deepest and most interesting conversations we've ever had on the podcast. And that is doing Mad God. Yes.
Me too.
Yes. Nice.
That conversation was so deep. And the movie, just as bizarre as it was, the way we talked about it, and we got feedback from people that said that they really enjoyed and appreciated how we tied everything together and what we talked about during that episode.
Unique one for sure.
It definitely was. So, it's on my list as well.
Nice. So the next one I include, is going to be one that we have been talking about since the beginning of time. And finally, for my dear old dad, we made it happen. The Legend of Boggy Creek. Again, would never make the list of like top movie of the season, but because it's such a unique episode and led itself to a different kind of conversation. Again, whereas more a conversation based on nostalgia and just family, and it led to some really interesting places. So yeah, Boggy Creek is also in my list.
Yeah, that definitely was a good one. I enjoyed the conversation. I'm glad that we finally got to give your dad that thing.
He listened. He did.
He did listen.
He did listen to that one.
Funny enough, it's also on my list as well.
Nice. 3 for 3 on this one for me. All right.
I'm scared. Like,
are we going to match all the way?
We might.
Because I have a feeling this next one is probably also, so we might go 4 for 4 on this one. This might be the most.
Okay.
Because we've talked about it. The first 4 away we've done. Meg 2, The Trench. Is it?
It is.
It is 4 for 4. All right. Rima and Ben, both on there. Yeah.
It was great because
4 people, I was like, is it going to be absolute fucking chaos? And it wasn't. It wasn't. I think it was, we all had a really good time throwing stuff back and forth, and it was a really fun conversation, fun movie.
Yeah, I was concerned that 4 of us, it was going to be a lot. And when it started, it was just going to be the 3 of us, you, me, and Rima. Mm-hmm. And then Ben threw his hat into the ring, and we're like, okay, we'll have 4 of us. Yeah. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it Run for Your Lives way and just do it. All
right, so can we go perfect score, 5 for 5?
I don't know.
Don't think we will.
I don't think so.
I have a feeling this last one I'm picking is going to deviate from yours.
Okay.
But really, it's just, am I tooting my own horn with the ridiculousness that I have? Between ad breaks and a special appearance by Elmo, it's Pet Sematary 2019.
Oh my god. No, that is not on my list. However,
so.
I will tell you that I had so much fun. And what I've learned in 3 years of podcasting with you is that I understand your humor now really well, and I just go with it. And then something might come of it if I just roll with whatever you're doing.
Right. I don't even know what I'm going to do half the time, so it's...
It's just great. I like that, though, because you keep me on my toes with these things. I don't know what's coming, but it's, it's like Carol in The Walking Dead when she met Ezekiel. She doesn't know what's going on in the most wonderful way. Mm-hmm. And I love it. So I'm totally down with that. So I'm not sure this next one even matters because I think we've got like 4 that we're going to have to pick from, which is going to be really difficult. Okay. This episode I put on here, it was tied with another one and then I just broke the tie. I was going to put the 5 things that scared us on here and then I decided not to.
Although it was a really fun conversation.
It was a fun conversation.
Take a little peek behind the curtain. It's one of the, our best numbers episodes. A lot of people listen to it and really liked it. So thank you guys for listening to that one and really enjoying it. Because it gives us, a reason to believe we can definitely do more unique episodes like that and you guys enjoy it. So that's good.
Well, our look back specials are some of the most popular too. So I think that's why we love doing them, is because we know that you guys love them too. This one was a very deep conversation because we talked a lot about grief. Mm-hmm. It was very deep. We got some feedback on it from people too, telling us that they really appreciated the way that we talked through the grief that we each felt when we lost somebody in our lives. And that was the Babadook. Mm-hmm. That was a really deep one. I remember after feeling really happy that we did it, but also my heart was sad because I kind of went to places that I usually block off because I don't want to feel that grief. Yeah. This is going to be difficult, Peg.
It is. Absolutely. Because, we have
4.
So between Tremors Fest, Mad God, Boggy Creek, and Meg too. Again, I think it's my turn to lead the. I'm
wondering if you're leaning the way I am. I don't know.
Strangely enough, again, it's what's the outlier? What's the most unique thing I could pick that really stands out? And Mad God kind of is my my thought on that.
Me too.
All right. So I think so I don't have anything to hold over you for.
No, and I think that the other movies and the other episodes that we mentioned are all really fun episodes that we got to do, or in some cases very deep episodes that we got to do. But I think there was something about Mad God which was such a different beast for us to cover. Yeah. But it unveiled so much about us as we were talking through things. So, yeah. And now we're back to Movie Pake. What the heck are we going to do?
Oh, man.
Episode did not solve any problems.
Did not at all. We felt pretty good about that. Oof, that's a hard one.
Make a case. Is there one that's standing out for you that you can make a case for? Because it's very hard to make a case.
It really is, because they all definitely have their merits. I mean, you said what you said about 28 Days Later, which is why you're kind of making that case, because, you got the human element, and really, there's a lot of, hardship to that movie, but there is kind of this hope at the end. Mm-hmm. And then Shaun of the Dead is just, it's like, it's a goofy comedy, but it's still with so much heart. Yeah, there's so much
heart, and I love movies with heart.
And Edgar Wright, and just his use of music and callbacks and humor and all these things. It's, and then with Insidious, it honestly was a cornerstone in a lot of supernatural horror going forward. It really set the tone for...
It did.
I don't think there would be a Conjuring series the way that there is without Insidious starting it. You know,
I think Insidious really set the bar. I feel like we got a resurgence of all of these films that we needed to bring the horror franchise, like, into, you know, the 2010, like, into this millennium, because a lot of things had just been done over and over again.
Yeah, so
it brought something different. They're iconic, and I think that's what makes it even more difficult, because we're not comparing, you know, Pet Sematary and, you know, some of the other films that we covered.
So I think because I really am just at a standstill between the three. I don't think I can pick a winner, and you did. So I think...
No, I don't...
No, so I think we will give it to 28 Days if that's what you want to do. But, like, with an asterisk of, like, the other two are, like, so close second that they're basically crawling onto the podium with it. But it still deserves it. Like, I think, like...
You don't think that you can get it down to even one other one?
No, I really, like, it's so difficult.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason all three were on both of our lists.
Yeah, for sure.
It's our own fault for putting them in the same season.
I know.
It is. It's our own fault.
Because they all are incredibly iconic and game-changing movies in their own ways.
Absolutely.
Like, again, with, you know, people might want to scream at us for, like, considering 28 Days zombie kind of thing, but it was a unique take and changed a lot of the way that, like, that genre was adapted going forward. And so, yeah, and then I talked about, like, Shaun of the Dead, like, a horror comedy. There's been those before. I mean, we did American Werewolf this season. There's, like, horror comedy was nothing new, but for it to really, I don't know, it was its own kind of horror comedy. It was something very different. It was, you know, because I think, was it Edgar Wright's first feature length? If not, like, maybe, like, second or something, but first that I knew of him. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely early on, if not the first, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah. And Edgar Wright is just...
And then, like I said, Insidious having so much, you know... So yeah, it's hard for me to pick. So if you really lean towards one of them, I will follow.
I don't know, because as we've been talking, I'm kind of leaning towards Shaun of the Dead. This is really hard. This is the hardest one. We've never had it so difficult, I think. I don't remember debating so much.
Yeah. We've never had to debate until last season, and I think we made some deals and we worked through it. But with this one, it's like we can't even, like, make a deal with each other on things, because it's like, nope, this is...
I've got
everything else was okay. This is where we're both stuck for the same reasons.
I have nothing to... I don't have anything to... Yeah, there's nothing. This is what it is.
Yeah. Man.
It's so difficult. So difficult. But I have to say this. We've given Insidious some love already. We've given... That's
the only other one that has won an award.
Yeah.
But do we hold it against it that it already had, like, the greatest
villain?
No,
because you're not going to let it. You won't let it. No, there's no holding anything against anyone, because it's just not possible.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Man.
Should we let our viewers decide?
I was thinking the same thing, but I was like, will they be mad if we end this episode without an answer? But, I don't know, then... Maybe, you know, because this is the end of the season, but we are coming back next week with...
Right.
With the Halloween special. So maybe something extra special is tune into the Halloween special and you get the answer to this question decided by listeners like you.
Yeah. We'll put a poll, and between these three movies...
Yeah.
And we'll determine which one was the best movie that we covered this season.
Yeah, I think it's the best way to do it instead of just like resigning ourselves to picking something.
Yeah.
We'll leave it up to the listeners. You guys get a say in the movie of the season out of those three.
I know, but that's good. And I feel like those are three really strong ones. And I hate to tell you this, but given the list that we have for next season so far, it's not going to get any easier. Because our list for next season is really good.
Yeah, there's already some really great ones we've got lined up.
I'm so excited to do them. It's going to be so much fun. In addition to voting, though, I think we'd like to know what our listeners think. Especially about this episode. So, not only about... I think that we would love to know what are the favorite things that we covered this season. What our listeners think about what their favorite episodes were of this season.
Mm-hmm. Which we'll do feedback in a little bit, so maybe some of you have reached out already in that regard. But yeah, even if you didn't get a chance to before this came out, then let us know, because we'll be talking about this next week already, because we have to decide our top movie.
Yeah. It's definitely difficult, isn't it?
It is.
It's not easy being a podcaster, especially when you have to pick between such amazing movies.
Yep. All right, but to recap for those, before we wind this thing down, I will go back over these. Winner of supporting character, side character of the season, Shogo Kawada from Battle Royale. Favorite main character of season 6 is Sebastian from Bird Box Barcelona. Interesting choice, but I don't hate it at all. Winner of best threat of season 6, the lipstick face demon from Insidious. The favorite movie winner, TBD, that is the listener's choice vote. Shaun of the Dead, Insidious, or 28 Days Later. Let us know. We will let you decide out of those three. And then winner of favorite episode of season 6, Mad God. Would we have seen that coming when we first covered it, or when we first talked about covering it? Probably not at all.
No way.
But I think it's great. I think it's a great choice.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad. I'm glad with all of our winners this year. I mean, I was last season as well. But I'm really happy with how things worked out, and I'm glad that our listeners can help us with this final decision.
Yeah. So, is that it? I think not much left for us to do. We've broken them down. We've given all the winners that we could. We hit a stalemate with one, so we will leave it in the court of you, our friends and listeners. So yeah, that's great. And, of course, speaking of listeners, maybe some of you are coming through with some feedback right now. It's ringing. So I'll go see what it says. All right, we have a little bit of feedback now. Of course, again, we are waiting on the feedback for you guys to pick your best movie winner. Mm-hmm. We haven't got there quite yet. This is a quick turnaround on this. So that will be next week on our Halloween special, which Daphne will tell you all about more in a little while.
Yes.
So still be, thinking about that and get those in. We will get to those, I promise you. But for now, this is just kind of some preliminary, really quick feedback. We only have one this week, immediate, for the Look Back special, coming to us from our new friend, Sam, our good friend. I think she's written in before, but we actually got to spend time and meet up with her on last weekend. And man, Sam, you're awesome. So thanks for writing in. I'll read your comment in just a second, but also thanks for coming and hanging out with us in Massachusetts and joining the party. You were definitely one of the best costumes and best vibes and best hangs of that whole night, that party. That was awesome. So it was really great to meet you, hang out with you, party and sing incredibly, embarrassing karaoke songs with you. It was awesome. So thanks for coming and hanging out. Meetups are always great.
She fit in with us so well. Like, she just, melded in with the group, and it was fun. That was a great Halloween party that we had, and
yes.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
So much
it was
fun.
Great hanging out with Sam. So I'm going to give her some love for being there and writing in. And now she says, so many greats. The Pet Cemetery ones were gold. Nostalgia plus humor plus great insights equals excellent podcasts.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
And I love that Sam is from New England, so hopefully I'll get to hang out with her again in person because we're not that far from each other.
Yeah.
But if you would like to submit your feedback, and this includes voting in our poll for which movie is the best movie that we covered for this season, again, it's Insidious, Shaun of the Dead, and 28 Days Later. So if you can let us know which one was your favorite, that will help us make a decision, because Pake and I were at a standstill. As you know.
Yeah, you just heard. Yeah, we couldn't get there. It felt too difficult to pick one of our beloved children over the other, so we'll let you do it for us.
It felt really difficult. We were not able to make a decision. And we were in person for that when we were having that conversation, and we still couldn't figure it out. So we need your help to be able to make that decision. So you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Run for Your Lives Podcast. You can find us on X at RFYL Podcast. Email us, runforyourlivespodcast@gmail.com. If you're enjoying Run for Your Lives, be sure to tell your friends. We are available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We're also available on most, if not all, of the other podcast players, including YouTube. If you need links, you can go to runforyourlivespodcast.com, and you can also give us a review on Apple Podcasts. That is the best way to share the love, get us out there even more, amplify our voices. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Always appreciate it. And of course, talking about sharing the love, we got to give some shout outs to the things going on in the podcast universe around us. My other podcast, Strange Indeed, me and Rima, back in action. Again, we kind of had the week off for all of this, Halloween party and Boston and Massachusetts and all of the stuff going on. But we're back. Fall of the House of Usher. We are back in on that. Episode 2 is out now. You can go check that out. We'll be back next week with episode 3. We're hitting it running. And it's been such an incredible show. Just like me and Daphne love Mike Flanagan here. Me and Rima, Strange Indeed, Rima is also a huge Flanagan fan as well. So, both podcasts that I'm on are big Flanagan Stanigans. I
think we are definitely disciples of the Church of Flanagan.
Yes, 100%. So, loving the Fall of the House of Usher. So, if you aren't watching it, watch it. If you are, check out Strange Indeed with me and Rima covering that. We're having a blast over there. And, of course, Rima, Greg, and Wendy have also been covering Great British Bake Off over there. I believe it's the 3 of them. I'm a little behind. It's going on my podcast behind my back. I'm letting them play. Now, Rima's running with it. She's happy to be back and doing that. I usually would be happy to be joining in with them, but man, it's been a busy time. So I'm glad that it's being done and people are enjoying it. So definitely check that out as well. It's always a fun thing to do over on Strange Indeed. But lots of other great podcastica stuff going on. Of course, the Loki podcast going with Alex, Sydney, and Kirk, as they've been running through those episodes. Episode 3 was this last week, and as you're listening to this, episode 4 is out now, so that should be up in the next couple of days over this week. So definitely be checking those out. Loki has been awesome this season so far. Also, we have Randy, Jason, and Jenny going through the White Lotus. Welcome to the White Lotus podcast, covering season 2, episode 5 this week, as they're doing their rewatch of White Lotus. It's also the Still Slaying podcast, the Buffy fan podcast. Penny, Cara, and Jim are covering Phases, which is season 2, episode 15. Another big episode for them to cover there of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And then Ted Lasso Revisited, still going on right now. Ben and Kristen working their way through season 1 with episode 4 this week. So if you're a big Ted Lasso fan, which, again, if you've watched the show, then you are a big fan of it. You should be. And if you haven't watched Ted Lasso, then get your life right and watch Ted Lasso. So good. And then definitely check out Ben and Kristen over on Revisited. And then other great, fun comic book stuff. Again, Loki is being covered, as well as the Boys spin-off series Gen V on Amazon Prime, on both the TV podcast industries, podcast and Panels to Pixels. Both of those podcasts giving some comic book love to Loki and Gen V. So go check those out as well. But aside from that, our season is over, and it's time to take a little break. But first, just kind of like we did recently with another recent season, the season's over, but you'll get the first episode of the new season next week because it's Halloween and we got to have a Halloween special. So, Daphne, why don't you tell them what we're doing for that? I think we've already told them, but in case people aren't paying attention, then they get to hear it again.
Well, we can't leave you hanging on Halloween without a little treat. It's not a trick. We are going to give you kind of the third part of a triple dip. It is a prequel to the Pet Sematary series called Pet Sematary Bloodlines. It came out earlier this month, and Pake and I decided what better Halloween special, especially after last year's Halloween Ends, but to give you this one, since we've been covering Pet Sematary this month.
Yeah. Stick around in Ludlow, a.k.a. Murder Truck, Maine, just a little bit longer.
Just a teeny bit. So that episode will drop on October 31st. If you've seen the movie and you have feedback, please get in touch with us in any of the ways that I mentioned when we were doing feedback earlier. We are everywhere. Go to runforyourlivespodcast.com. Leave us your feedback for Pet Sematary Bloodlines. Also, let us know which movie is the best of, because we really need your help with that. I can't believe it, Pake. We're pretty much at the end of the season. We have made it through another set of 25 episodes. Mm-hmm. It's pretty amazing. This is episode number 150.
Wow.
It's incredible to have made it through all of these, all the movies that we've done, and there are so many more. We have some fun things planned for next season. And with that, we've reached the end of the episode and the end of season 6. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pate.
And if you have to run, you'd better run for your lives.
Bye-bye.